I want to get this fabric out of there, rip out all this grass. We cannot block the view from the hot tub. Like a nice grouping of like 5 shrubs over here. Climbing hydrangea. We do some vinca, maybe we do some waldistinia to give some interest. I think that would work out very nicely. Guys, no biting. Easy guys, easy guys. How you doing today, folks? Today I'd like to show you a planting that's a little bit different for me. This is a planting that's on the edge of a lake, and the lake we're on, they generate power on. So the power company actually requires you to submit a planting plan before you go ahead and plant. And what they're looking for is for people to use a lot of native plants and plants that can compete best in this situation. So the job we're at, my client called me, it's probably almost been 2 years ago, and they said that they have a garden. The garden you're seeing behind you, the garden was already here, and it was what's known as a rain garden. But what happens is the rain garden was just a mess of plants, which was doing what it was supposed to do, but there was no sense of order to it, and it wasn't very pretty to look at. So my client called me because they wanted me to take this mess of plants and make it into a more formal garden, or I don't know if I'd say formal, just make it into something that's going to look nice through the summer. What I ended up doing was working with the plant list of native plants and then trying to find cultivars of native plants that would give me that summer interest and not get out of control. And one of the first features of this garden, which you can see over my shoulder here, is I did incorporate a stepping stone path into the garden. I know most videos you see with me, I talk about stepping stones paths, but I really like the way the stepping stone path in this video, as well as this landscape as well, encourages you to move through the landscape. Before the path, there was just a big mess of plants. We'll see if we can flip to a before shot. There was just a big mess of plants. And with the stepping stone path, you're encouraged to move through the bed, and otherwise you'd have to go all the way around the house to get through the bed because there is no other way to paths. We're going to start our tour right here, and the first thing I want to do is there's your after, and let me just flip over to a before shot for you and kind of show you what we had before. And it was designed to be a rain garden originally. And I want to stress again that there was nothing wrong with the design before. It was doing everything it was supposed to do. It was just my client wanted something that was going to look better through the season and more like a traditional garden as opposed to a woodland planting. So again, the first thing we did is we put in these stepping stones, and it took me about a day and a half to select and install the stones. And some of them are pretty big. There's my foot on the first stone. I like to start with a nice big stone there. And, I didn't do a straight line. I like the curves to add interest. And the other reason for that curve you're seeing is right over here to the right. That is a limelight hydrangea, Hydrangea paniculata limelight. And that is going to give us a really nice summer bloom. And that shrub is going to grow to be probably 5 to 6 feet tall. It's my hope that as that shrub grows in, it's going to grow over the bluestone cap on the wall there and just be this nice mound of foliage just covered with white flowers. And then around the base of the hydrangea, we've got some summer wine 9-bark, which is a dwarf 9-bark. It's a native shrub, and that's going to give us some late spring, early summer flowers. And it's also got that darker color foliage to give us some interest. And as we step back, so if we take a look to the right here, this is a hydrangea. It's Hydrangea quercifolia. So if you look at the leaves, you can see why they call it quercifolia. The leaves look just like oak leaves. But this is a cultivar called peewee. Now, I'm a very big fan of oak leaf hydrangea, but I didn't have a ton of space in this garden, so I went with peewee because it's got that nice compact form, so these plants can all grow together in this area. And then I have some purple coneflower mixed in. That's a native plant. And then along the stones, if you take a look, this is some tiarella. I believe it's called sugar and spice tiarella. And we've got the tiarella all the way from the beginning of the garden to the end of the garden because we want to put a plant in there that's gonna tie it all together. You want something to tie it together. Now to the left here, this is Cardinal Flower. That's another native plant. It likes damp locations. And if you take a look over to the left here, there's a pipe that it doesn't put water out a lot, but there is some water coming into the garden. So we've got our Cardinal Flower there, which is going to have spikes of red flowers early summer. And then behind it, this is Ruby Spice Clethra. And you can just see, it's called Summer Sweet. You can just see the flowers are starting to come. But over the summer, this Summer Sweet is going to have pink flowers through the summer. It's a really nice plant. You'll see this a lot. You'll see Summer Sweet or Clethra along the edges of woodland. It's usually a white flower. This cultivar, Ruby Spice, has those nice pink flowers. And then around, so there's a Japanese maple that was planted here. And around the base of it, I've got some Waldistinia, which is a ground cover. It's very slow growing. You know, I was going to do some vinca down here, but I wanted to stay with the more native look, and I put the Waldistinia in, and that's going to have little yellow flowers in early spring. Okay, and I also want to just show you as you're walking down, you see this rock over here, and there's a rock over there, and there's one rock over there as well. You know, there's 3 rocks, which is no coincidence. And I put these rocks in just to give us a little bit of a touch of some rocks in the garden. I mean, they're actually extra stepping stones, so the bottom sides are flat. But I wanted something in the garden just to add more interest and not just have it be a sea of mulch. So we put these 3 stones, and I think they add a nice touch. Okay, and then back here, my client had, I don't know if you can see with the sun, there's a little bit of a stilby back there. And then there's also the Hosta here, which was already in the garden. So we divided it and spread it out, and then I added these fairy candles right here to give us a little bit of interest. Fairy candles bloom at the end of the season. They're usually like a late summer, early fall bloom. And they also have the foliage which has a darker color. So they'll grow to be about 5 feet tall with these bottle brush white flowers and really add some interest. Okay. And then moving through, if you see at the base of this wall, so we've got the hot tub here. And what I want to do is soften that wall. Retaining walls in a landscape, in my eye, always stop the eye. I mean, they're a necessary evil. They're nice, but I like to soften them as much as possible by bringing my grade up to them, putting plants in front of them, having plants weep over them. Or here, we've actually got the climbing hydrangea, which is eventually going to grow on this retaining wall. So in the winter, climbing hydrangea loses all its leaves, but in the summer, it's just going to be covered in green. And in late spring, early summer, the climbing hydrangea, is going to have some white flowers, and it's going to just be a beautiful addition there as well. On the right here, what I've got is some Liatris, and this is one called Kobold. So early summer, this is going to have purple spikes of flowers. And that's another native plant that's going to add some interest to the garden early summer and just keep the flowers going through the season. And then we're going to go into the shade. I don't know how well this is going to come out, but we're going through the shade. And I just added, one mountain laurel over here. That's Calmia latifolia. This is a cultivar with pink flowers, just to add some interest and to I want this mountain laurel to grow in, so it'll eventually kind of block your view through the yard. So as you're coming around the stone pathway here, it's kind of a mystery. But let me give you the view. I know we're in the shade and it doesn't look so great, but here's where we are, and there's our stepping stone path. And then if we pan over, you can see where we're working. And what a lovely place to work at. It was so peaceful on this lake. I really had a wonderful time. So we'll just go ahead and walk back through the garden. And hopefully you enjoyed our tour. Thank you very much for watching the video today, folks. I hope maybe you picked up the name of a few plants, or maybe you got some ideas for your own garden. If you live in Newtown, Connecticut, and you live on Lake Lillinois or Lake Zor, and you'd like a planting like this, please feel free to give me a call. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching, folks, and have yourselves a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.